Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for coming back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then to the tyrant. We have with us the author of The Sea of New Media, ladies and gentlemen. None other than the great artist herself. You can watch her show on Mondays and Wednesdays here on TECN TV. Dr. JanesDC. We have with us the illustrious and vivacious Dr. Jane Ruby. Dr. Ruby, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Listen, we're going to be working a lot during the election season.
Yep.
And you got a big announcement that you're going to be making about your own show for Monday night. And we're going to ask everybody in the Twitter world, in the Facebook. Big story is Iran, the killing of the Major General. We broke that story last night on this particular network. Um, the Democrats, I told all of them that they needed to sign up as foreign agents because of their representation of Iran and Al Qaeda and Hezbollah. They did such a wonderful job. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, all the squad, they were all on there. But I wanted to get your take on, because people watch this show all the time, they hear me all the time. Let me get your take on what happened over the weekend and our retaliation.
Well, I think, President Trump doesn't bow to Middle Eastern leaders. And when he flies an airplane over there, it's not full of unmarked bills and cash. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to be full of bombs and precision surgical drones and bombs that take out terrorists. This guy, Soleimani, that you've all been hearing about in the news, this is a really bad guy. And I learned also today that not only is he responsible for killing over 600 Americans over there, but he's also the mastermind of the attack on the compound in Benghazi, where we lost Ambassador Stevens and four American soldiers. So this guy is just, super bad. And I know there's a lot of talk. Look, the Democrats have nothing. They're sitting on an empty impeachment barrel. They don't know what to do with it. They know they look ridiculous. And so now their next thing is to complain that the president didn't check with them. I tweeted to Adam Schiff today, I wouldn't disclose to you what my plan is for my breakfast, much less a complex military operation, because they want to leak. And their whole raison d'etre, their whole reason for being alive on the planet right now is to destroy this presidency and to besmirch it. And so they're all complaining and crying today that he didn't let them know. They don't deserve to know. They're, like
Well,
Judge Janine says, they're liars, leakers, and whatever,
would
whatever they
you
are.
have, because Ilhan Omar, and we had a conversation about this on our show and also in private. I don't mind bringing it public, but we both think that Ilhan Omar being on the Intelligence Committee is a most dastardly thing and
Very dangerous.
dangerous. Yeah,
Very
and
dangerous.
would you have notified Ilhan Omar 24 hours before the attack? Would, if you were President Trump?
No way. Omar with Erdogan of Turkey, who's head of the Turkish Muslim Brotherhood called the Gulen Movement. I've had John Favreau on, who's an investigative photojournalist. He's uncovered all of the Gulen infiltration, that Muslim Brotherhood infiltration in Pennsylvania and throughout the country. She is in communication with Muslim terrorists overseas. I mean, it's so dangerous to our national security that she's even on that committee, even in our Congress at all, much less on the House Intelligence Committee. They get briefed on issues that are so sensitive that the rest of the Congress doesn't even know about it. So this is incredibly dangerous. And the fact that she's allowed to stay on this committee it keeps me up at night, to be honest with you. And I want you guys to know, I was taken off of Twitter for 7 days because of a tweet about her. Okay. And it was a truthful tweet, but Twitter said that I violated the hate speech rules. And so now she got me censored or banned, if you will, temporarily banned for 7 days from Twitter. It was directly related to her and her people.
Now I got to ask you here, why? Why now is that so important? Because a lot of conservatives out there, and I don't mince words with my conservative brethren. You know what my motto is: if you haven't been banned, you're not doing it right. So how is it that there are other conservatives out there that seem to go under the radar on these particular things? Do they are as bodacious as you and I when it comes to meting out what conservatism is all about?
Well, some of them are a little more careful. Uh, even I have instituted certain precautions, like I'll spell Hamas, the international terror group that's killed thousands of Americans. I'll spell their name with spaces in between, things so that the automatic, algorithm, systems don't won't pick it up, or it will take them time. This tweet about Ilhan Omar is months old, and somebody found it in her camp and reported it, and Twitter said, "Yep, let's do that." But the reason that a number, I have a theory
Yes.
about why some conservatives are still on. People who have big reaches, who really communicate, in terms of informing the public of critical information, are often taken off, like Laura Loomer, James Woods, and a lot of incredible people that were doing amazing communication work. I have a theory. There are people, this is very diabolical, but there are people who claim to be on the right who are directly working with Jack Dorsey, who's the owner of Twitter, and they are working to get fellow conservatives
There you go.
taken off of Twitter. I know this for a fact. I cannot name the people because I will be gone from
Exactly.
Twitter, and possibly, I don't want to be dramatic, but possibly, I could be hurt. My family could be hurt. I know who they are. Many of us know who they are. And that's what's happening. It's very dangerous. This whole censorship thing is very dangerous.
Exactly. You are the author of The Sea of New Media. It was you who was putting out the word. Let me just make sure that everybody sees that book. There you go. Please go order that
Yep.
book now. A Sea of New Media. Because actually, 2020, ladies and gentlemen, 2020 is the reason why you need to read that book. They are coming for you. If you don't think they aren't, I dare you to put something up about Governor Northam in Virginia regarding the planned uh, gun control legislation that he's going to have come out next week. I dare you to put something up about that. Am I right about that, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. People in Virginia, you've got to stand up. Look, the state has been taken over, just like California and New York State. It is every branch of government from the top to the bottom is taken over by the Democrats. And the reason this is a big concern is because one of the things Ralph Northam just did, and this is really heinous, he has moved a portion of the state of Virginia's budget into the criminal justice, the jail system, while they're letting 40,000 felons out so they can vote Democrat. He's creating more jail space, more funding in the jails. And you know why? Directly to plan and prepare to jail citizens who will not give up their guns when they start to institute these gun grabs. This is incredibly dangerous right now. 2020 is going to be unlike anything in your lifetimes. This is the good and evil. This is the Armageddon between socialism and not socialism, and the freedoms of that America is founded on, folks. They in the minds of the left, and the globalists, and the New World Order, and the rhinos, and the Democrats that have shifted to the left, and the communists. They are out of their minds. They are in their minds. They are not going to let this president take a second term, because when he takes the second term, he's coming off the chain. I really believe it. I think people are going to be pardoned. People like Hillary, the low hanging fruit, are going to get nailed. They're going to be perp walked. And I think they know all this. And when I tell you, you've got to start working at your local levels, because they're going to try to steal elections and delegates and electoral, college votes. It's going to be insane. And
Exactly.
I just got, like, me getting hit with a 7-day censorship. You're going to start seeing this happen more and more and more,
Thank you.
because the more people they can shut down, the less, if I can't speak to you for a week, I'm pretty direct and out there about communism, the Muslim Brotherhood, what these people like Ilhan Omar, and there are many Ilhans coming up the pike that are going to get elected. I'm pretty out there, and there are thousands of people like me. It's not just me.
Yeah,
Um, we're shut down systematically. I don't know what else to say, but we've got to kind of storm the castle in a way, and President Trump knows it.
exactly. We have to do what he did to Baghdad, pretty much. We have to be that very. We can't be aloof anymore. We can't be obtuse. We have got to be as ornery critters as we possibly can be in terms of getting the message out. And that means everyone, all the way down the line, passing out the videos that we have, passing out the information. Because if we don't do that now, the left will come and take over. Wanted to also talk with you tonight about anti Semitism. You know that TECN TV put a FOIA out to the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, regarding the potential possibility that a terrorist arm of the Black Hebrew Israelites were opening up credit unions and using monies to fund their terrorist actions. Um, we did that a week before what happened in New Jersey. In New York, stabbing of a Jewish family by a mentally ill. He is now mentally ill.
He's
Grafton Thomas.
Yeah, he's not mentally ill. He was arrested 7 times before. He is a
Yeah,
member. And by the way, for your audience's edification, they've got to feel the Black Hebrew Israelites. They have nothing to do with Israel or Israelites. They hate Israel. It's really an anti-Semitic arm. Not that it's anti-Semitic arm. They are anti-Semitic, but the Black Israelites are an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. They are, radical Islam. John Guandola would tell you there's only one Islam. They're It's not that they're all radical, but that they all, if they follow the Quran, they have to follow all of this eventually. But just to let you know, that's who those people are. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no,
I don't believe he was mentally ill. He had a ton of social media that talked about how much he hated Jews, hates Israel, and that should be killing. And by the way, they weren't stabbings. He used a machete, which is a Muslim Brotherhood tool that's
thank you.
often used. And why? Because the machete is this long. A knife is a knife that you use in the kitchen. And when you use a machete, you can slash and you can cut across a human body much wider, and I'm sorry to be graphic, but much deeper. You can get to arteries, you can slash multiple organs in the body with one or two slashes. With a knife, you've got to hit many, many times. It's not very effective, and they figured it out, and so they use machetes.
Now, his church, Highlands um, Cooperative Church in New York, his pastor, who was a public school teacher, came out and stated that Grafton Thomas was mentally ill and that he had been let down by all of the public services in America. Um, it is that type of mentality by the left that actually puts at risk every person who professes not only God as a Jew, but professes God as a Christian. Would you say that that is true?
Well, I think that was really irresponsible of his pastor. His pastor's not his physician. He's not trained in psychology. And remember, the guy Hassan, who was the Fort Bragg radical Islamic murderer.
Yes.
Obama called that workplace violence. So these euphemisms, mentally ill, euphemism, it doesn't wash anymore. And I think the American people are figuring it out. Remember Elie Wiesel's famous saying, first they came for the Jews and I didn't say anything because I wasn't Jewish. Then they came for the Christians and I didn't say anything because I wasn't Christian. Then they came for me and there was no one left.
Yeah.
So when this happening, yeah, I mean, these are anti-Semitic. This was at a rabbi's house. They knew it was the holiday. They knew a bunch of people would be there. Um, it's just horrific. It's horrific.
Exactly. And you and I have always been tested by those on the left. I have a fatwa on my life from the radical Islamists. Their threats, of course, to you because you're Jewish. Um, what say you? What should Donald Trump? What should this administration do to protect religious freedom in America?
I don't know what else he can do. Recently the president signed an executive order on anti-Semitism. And as you know, his daughter Ivanka is Jewish. She's an Orthodox Jew, and her husband Jared Kushner. Now, I actually had the honor of she was on my flight back from West Palm Beach on Wednesday night, and I did chat with her for a bit. She's lovely, but anyway, and I know that her heart hurts about it. The president's heart hurts about it. He's his a big portion of his family, his grandchildren are Jewish. But it's more than that. I think it's more than the personal touch. I think he just sees just the what's happening to Jews in America, and he sees that there's also anti-Christian sentiment. Christians are persecuted in the Middle East. It's just our country was founded on religious freedom, not shoving it down someone else's throat, but the freedom to practice your own religion, not make it the only religion in the country. And it happened to be founded on two major religions of the world, Judaism and Christianity, right? And that's our foundation. That doesn't mean you can't be something else, but it also doesn't mean that you wipe those two out and that you make something else the religion of the country. The founding is what it is. So um, I think it's important to remember that. I do appreciate what the president is trying to do. I think he would do it for any religion that was coming under such frequent persecution every day.
Exactly. Do you trust De Blasio in New York?
No, Bill de Blasio is very dangerous. Okay, I
Thank
know
you.
you're asking that rhetorical question. Blasio has virtually destroyed the city of New York. He and Governor Cuomo have destroyed New York State. I have a family member who's in the judicial system in New York, and months ago, that person warned me that they were going to push this law through, which started January 1st, that if for a lot of violent crimes against people, lots of manslaughter, aggravated manslaughter, things like that, stalking, terrorism, are no longer going to be allowed to set bail. That means you're going to get an appearance ticket. If somebody burglarizes your home and you call the police can only give them an appearance ticket. That means they can just trot next door and go down the line in your street and just keep burglarizing. So de Blasio, it's a mess. He's let out felons out of those jails. He has just destroyed New York City. They're becoming San Francisco, defecating in the streets. The homeless is out of control.
Exactly. The reason I asked that question, and Mary Brockman has a question in the chat room,
Yes.
because let's just say that De Blasio, the communist, is not a great protector of religious rights in America. And Mary Brockman says, are they going after Hasidic Jews because they're more recognizable?
Well, I think that if you're talking about, the Orthodox clothing and the hair and the special religious, like the tefillin, the special religious strings that you see hanging from
Yeah,
their, those are devotional. It's like it's equivalent in a way of a rosary, the rosary beads. And so they pray. It reminds them to pray. And there are a certain number of them. And those kinds of things do, they do signal that the person is likely to be an Orthodox Jew. I don't think they're going after them more because they're recognizable. I don't think they think that way. I think they're just going after them because they are Jewish.
yeah,
And when they go to a synagogue and try to slash people or shoot them down, I think, they don't care if they're Hasidic, or Hasidism is a branch of the Orthodoxy, the
hmm,
Orthodox Jewish, which is a very high level of observance. It's a very, very involved, level of observance in the Jewish religion.
exactly. Now,
Yeah.
You have been doing this for a number of years, even though you look very young. Um, are we going in a direction where we can turn away from the destruction that comes with a nation that surrenders to communism and socialism and Marxism? Are we at a point where we can turn around now?
I think we just have to hang tight to our country. And like President Trump said at the State of the Union last year, we will never be a socialist nation. What really blows my mind, Ken, I have to tell you, is that this country was founded by people who were trying to get away from communism and socialism, who wanted religious freedom, who wanted freedom of speech, who wanted freedom regardless of race or creed, or just to pursue your own personal happiness, the importance and the value of the individual, not the collective. So what blows my mind is why do they want to come over here and change this nation into what was left behind?
Yeah,
Against what its foundings. So that's I've gotten several kinds of responses to that. People have theories on it, but it just really blows my mind. And I just think that this is an incredible watershed year.
yes,
It's not enough for you all to put a like on somebody on Facebook who says what you agree with. It's not enough anymore to retweet something of mine, or somebody else you like on Twitter. We all have to get out, go to your polling stations, volunteer to count the number of people that come in so you can report it to the Republican conservative parties, and they can make sure that they don't have 1,000 extra votes and over the number of people you counted that came in. So, do the math. Little
yeah,
things like that do in your neighborhood. Write letters if you don't want to get out and you're not the kind of person that's confrontational. I understand that. Write letters, emails, call these people. It's easy on the internet to find the phone numbers of your representatives. Tell them you're mad. Tell the White House you're mad. They will. I used to work in the Office of Presidential Correspondence. I can tell you that they aggregate the number of calls and they aggregate the topics that people are calling in about. And when they get signals, they that's when the president pays attention to certain things and he can talk about them more as well.
exactly. Now, you, my friend, are probably one of the best assets that I've ever had at my network. And
Well,
you are
thank
not only a network advisor to me, but you are a host of a wonderful program. And I'm encouraging people to tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays and Wednesdays. And we're going to work out a schedule between ourselves so that we can do extra coverage for the election season. drjaneruby.com, drjanesdc is the place to go for your news and information. And she is a tremendous woman. And hopefully, down the road, you and I can write a book together for 2020. Um,
you. Well, I think that coming bringing Dr. Jane's DC to the Exceptional Conservative Network has made a tremendous difference for the show. And because of the great foundation, Ken, that you've laid down for the show, the network, and the other shows within the network, it has enabled our show, Dr. Jane's DC, to attract incredible guests. All of my guests that I've had, and I've watched your guests, are amazing and have incredible things to say that we need to hear. But we've had incredible guests with high visibility, like Judge Janine, as you know, a couple of
yeah.
months ago. Along those
Now, wait a
lines, I
minute, wait a
will
minute.
break.
Before you go on, you hooked up with Judge Janine. Now, I made jokes because Judge Janine was supposed to come on my show and it didn't. We didn't work it out well. But you in tight with Judge Janine, and you got her to do something down in Miami and Florida. Can you tell everybody about that?
Well, sure. We've talked before about supporting young up and coming conservatives, and I broke the story. Actually, I got the exclusive story. Judge Janine came out in support of Laura Loomer, who's running for Congress, as you may all know. Got her start with Project Veritas. James O'Keefe embedded the Clinton camp, has done an amazing job highlighting. She was the first person to bring to anyone's attention that Ilhan Omar was a fraud, that she came in under a different, married her brother to commit fraud and to get into the United States. Rashida Tlaib falsified her records in Michigan to get on the ballot. So she was the first, and she outed Keith Ellison as a woman beater, and a host of many other stories that she broke, that the Las Vegas massacre was really an ISIS hit. Astounding. And now Laura is running in the 21st district in South Florida, which is the president, as you know, it's his. Florida is his new permanent residence. He lives at his compound in Mar-a-Lago in District 21. So I would assume President Trump will be voting for Laura Loomer. And it was wonderful that Judge Jeanine publicly endorsed her. And I was about to give you a compliment that you've laid this great foundation, because I know we're coming up on the hour, that I could have Judge Jeanine on my show a couple of months ago. And we had a wonderful discussion about her book. I almost gave her a title for her third book, but anyway, I digress. Foundation you've laid, and I am breaking it on your show tonight, that we have a confirmation from none other than Alan Dershowitz on Dr. Jane's DC on Monday night. So excited, I can't even speak, I have to tell you. I can barely catch my breath. We are so honored to have Professor Dershowitz on the show. He is a constitutional scholar. He wrote a book called Guilt by Association, The Challenge of Proving Innocence in the Age of Me Too. He is a classic liberal that most of us were in our 20s when we were in college, like a John Kennedy kind of Democrat. But he is now, I don't know what his labeling is, but he's just a common sense. He's very common sense when it comes to values. Kind of sounds like a conservative, but I know he supports President Trump. I'm really looking forward to asking him several questions. And I also put out a little bit of a challenge to my followers. And I'm so glad I put this out before I was banned, because I would never have been able to post it if I hadn't done it before the ban. But I'm challenging folks, and I'm challenging people in the chat room. I'm challenging your many thousands of viewers you can send me a direct message on Twitter. Those are open, and I can still communicate on direct message. I just can't tweet, but you can communicate any ideas you have for questions, and we'll pick some of them, and I'll ask him those questions on the air on Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, January 6th, Alan Dershowitz. I'm so incredibly proud that he confirmed today and accepted our invitation to be on Dr. Jane's DC. It's going to be a wild show. It's going to be fun.
Jane, you are awesome, and I thank God for you being a part of our network, being an advisor to me. There's a lot that we have going forward in terms of 2020. We got CPAC to plan for. We got a missive to move forward in terms of creating a news show. So there are lots of things that you and I will be working on, and I thank God for you working with me. You are incredible, and I thank God so much for you being able to do what you do every single night that you're on the air with us. You are changing America, and I appreciate you greatly.
Thank you. I love our partnership, Ken, and thank you for all the opportunities. Let's go get them in 2020.
Let's go get
We'll
them in
see y'all.
2020.
Yeah, because Ken and I are broadcasting live every day at CPAC.
That's right.
Right? I've got the evening, and we'll be together doing a lot of co-hosting too.
Exactly.
It's going to be fun.
She's got the pretty face, and I carry the equipment. That's about it. There you go.
Ken, thanks for having me on tonight. It was great. Thanks for all the great support. I love you. God bless.
Love you. God bless you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jane Ruby, Dr. Jane's DC. You can find her at drjaneruby.com. Get your question in. Mary, put 2 or 3 questions to Jane while she's in that chat role. Put your question in now. Get your question into Jane ASAP. We will be promoting that all weekend long. Whatever your question is for the constitutional scholar, Alan Dershowitz, it will not be the last time we have him on the air. Of course, he's the author of Guilt by Accusation, The Challenge of Proving Innocence in the Age of Me Too. He will be on Dr. James DC on Monday, January. Let's see. Am I following along well at home, ladies and gentlemen? Is it the 6th? Yes, January 6th. The January 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be back with more of the best right after these messages. Also, just want to ease the mind of my great little mentee here. We have recorded this segment so that you can promote it to the rest of the world so that everybody knows that Dr. Dershowitz will be on the air with you on Monday. There you go. See, did I do a good job? We'll be back.